Hello, I'm Carolyn Banner of Body by Banner, and I am doing a bonus round of the Cut the Confusion course that I wrapped up last Friday. But since I had been sick on Wednesday, we missed today, I wanted to come back and share my thoughts on the super popular celery juice craze that's popping up in the last year, especially. So I'm going to be going over celery juice and also just detoxes in general. And for those of you that are jumping on, please write in the comments. Oh, trying to get my phone set up over here for Instagram. Write in the comments where you are listening in from, watching in from, and if you drink celery juice, I would love to hear that. Okay, phone, come on, cooperate. All right, there we go. So have you tried it? Have you tried celery juice? Do you drink it very often? If you do, I'm just curious if there's people out there who actually are doing this. And if you have any questions, of course, put them in the comments as well. I will be happy to get to those. I'll make sure to check before we wrap up to make sure we answer those before we finish up at the end. So we're going to tie up it also kind of talking about celery juice, talking about detoxes and sharing my thoughts on that. So for those of you who don't know me or haven't really been joining in before for the Cut the Confusion course, my background is for the last 16 years, I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. For the last 6 years, I am a personal trainer and yoga teacher. So have been focusing on in those last 6 years more on the wellness and fitness industry, using my nutrition knowledge as well. But have that background of almost 8 years working at the University of Chicago in clinical nutrition, and really back up what I'm sharing with you, looking through the research, looking to see what scientific studies are out there, to see what is actually supported by science versus medical mediums, which we'll be talking about in a second. Awesome, so yeah, so from Minneapolis. Awesome, hi Christopher, thanks for joining in too. And I'm curious, have you, both of you, have you tried celery juice? Has that been something that you've ever tried? Or detox, have you ever done a detox? So what we're gonna talk about is kind of what's the hype around celery juice, who's doing it, why are people kind of into it in the last couple of years, and then where some of that's coming from. Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot of literature out there, not a lot of science around celery juice. Of course, it has a lot of wonderful components in it, but they haven't really been able to study or replicate any of the claims that you might be seeing floating around the internet, such as it being a medicinal, detoxifying, that it helps pull out heavy metals, that it helps clear your skin, the reduce bloating. And there's a lot of people who are jumping on this. There's a lot of Instagrammers, YouTubers who have been doing, I drank celery juice for 7 days straight, and this is what happened. I mean, I've seen like 5 different versions of that. So it's really popular, but unfortunately there's not science to really back up these claims. And at this point it's anecdotal. So it's just people having these experiences, saying they've had these benefits, and there's not science to back it up. That being the case, like with everything we've been covering in the Cut the Confusion course, sometimes nutrition and the science around nutrition can be a little slow to catch up. So by sharing that, I'm not saying that there's not power behind celery juice or that there are benefits to it. We will go over those. That perhaps is the reason why people have been experiencing positive benefits to it. But again, at this point, there's not the science to back it up. It might catch up. You know, they're studying it now, so we'll see if we have some new research in the coming years. But always with that kind of science, it takes some time, and it's hard to do quality studies. You know, and sometimes it takes multiple studies to really show that there's benefits, and it depends on what you're looking for, all that jazz. So we're here on Facebook, never tried it, but you're curious about it. Yeah, and you don't have a juicer. So yes, that can be an issue too, and I'll talk about that, like the difference between having a smoothie versus having a true juice. So the hype kind of started from this guy. He's not a doctor. He's called Medical Medium, Anthony William, and he states that he has like the spirit that speaks through his right ear that's been telling him kind of like he spoke clearly since the age of 4. So no medical training, and so this is the one who's been kind of behind the celery juice fad. I would call it a fad because it's really become super popular without a lot of science to back it up. And the thing that bothers me, besides him not having medical training and that it's a little woo, I'm not saying that he doesn't have someone that he's like has a connection to spirit or energy and he's learning, you know, maybe absorbing some information, very highly sensitive person and aware, but I have a really hard time taking him at his word. and saying that it's directly applicable to everyone or to all the situations that they're saying. The other thing is that I feel like it plays a bit on fears and insecurities in general. The wellness industry I have issue with that playing on fears and insecurities, where you have to, you're kind of striving for this perfect optimal health or this kind of figure of it. And a lot of times it has to do with things that cost a lot of money, or that you kind of are to be in these cliques or like sort of online tribes and fit into these. So I just have an issue with these kind of mass fads like that, where it's sort of promoting this access to wellness only to the exclusive groups that can afford juicers and can afford these things. So I have a little bit of issue with that. That being said, and it doesn't taste that good in my opinion, so if you haven't tried it, you don't really know. But in my opinion, celery juice by itself tastes like grass. It's not very appealing. So people are drinking this, and I think that's, there can be some really amazing benefits to it, which I'll share in a second, the nutrients that are in celery. But if it does taste really shitty, are you going to actually drink it every day? And, if you're not, then it's not sustainable, like everything. You have to be able to enjoy it and actually stick with it to see the ongoing results. So I have some new people jumping on Instagram and Facebook. So if you're just joining in, I'd love to just hear. It's always fun for others to hear where you're watching in or listening in from. So if you can just put in the comments where you're listening from, and if you've tried celery juice, of course, add any questions too if you have them. So I'd love to hear that. And so we're going to talk now about what is in it, what's actually are the nutrients, what are the things in celery that are potentially having these benefits, that are people feeling maybe less bloated, saying that's helping with inflammation, which is kind of like a big term, helping to clear up their skin, maybe helping with digestion and weight control. So some of the benefits, some of the things that are in celery juice that could be potentially helping with these things, but aren't scientifically studied yet, are that they have a lot of flavonoids in it, which act like antioxidants. So things like luteolins, I have to look at the word, luteolins and apigenin are in celery. So they act as antioxidants, which helps with anti-inflammatory properties. Also contains a lot of vitamin C, vitamin K. It's rich in vitamin K, as well as B vitamins like B6, manganese, folate, riboflavin. Also has a good bit of calcium in it. And then it works like as a diuretic. It helps pull off excess fluid. It itself is made up of 95% water, and it's super low calorie for those that are concerned about calories, if that's something that you are worried about or thinking about in terms of fat loss. But it's 95% water, and that being, it does help to pull off water, helps you to stay hydrated and to relieve bloating. So in that's where they think that has a relationship to potentially help lower blood pressure or help it control to a good level, and also to help minimize inflammation and maintain hydration. So that's the kind of the theory behind it, because those are true things that are in celery. Speaking of hydration, awesome. Someone from Argentina. Hey, Deanna. Don't really like celery juice. Yeah. So here's my thing. If you can drink it and you like it and you're willing to do it long term, awesome. Go for it. I would suggest liquefying it with some water. So you put pieces of celery into a blender and you put a little bit of water in it, and you keep the fiber with it rather than juicing it and extracting all the fiber that potentially has. So we don't know all the interaction yet within vegetables, especially, and how fiber might be an essential part of it that's really important in how we absorb all the nutrients. And so for me, I would love to, and also because of its role in digestion, to keep that fiber with it. So liquefying it versus juicing it and pulling out all the fiber would be my recommendation if you are going to go for celery juice. You don't have to do it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. I would just say include it, add it to your diet if you would like to. The whole claim of having it on an empty stomach, actually, you don't actually absorb the nutrients that are in it as well. So you actually going to absorb some of those, especially the vitamin K, with fat. So it's better to have it when you're kind of closer to a meal. But if you don't like it, if you're not really on board with it, or you don't have a juicer or even a blender, and you're just it's not really my thing, you don't need to also be worried. You don't need to be worried that you're missing out on some big miracle cure, because here's the thing. There's no one food choice or item that will cure a disease. There's no one food that will alleviate or resolve health issues. It's the whole overall lifestyle. It's your overall diet. It's not just one isolated thing. So kind of cycling back, if you are going to drink celery juice, that's great. Think of it as an addition, but not as a Band-Aid. So think about your overall healthy choices. And by healthy, I mean that you have a lot of variety, that you have a lot of plants. So many plants as possible in your diet, because those are just full of life and they're going to give you the nutrients and the fiber give you a big bang for your buck. They just fill you up with so many good nutrients. And think of that whole big picture. And then if you want to include celery juice with it. You guys with me? Is this making sense? If you have any questions, of course, like, oh, hey, Danley, glad you could join. Please put them in the comments, and for you on Instagram as well. And then if you're not really into it, like I said, no big deal. You don't have to go the celery juice route. You're not going to be missing out on a whole lot. Here's the thing, though, that you can do instead. Hydrate a lot. Like some of the research that they're looking into is like, maybe it's just because people are actually getting better hydration. So start with hydration. What I recommend is that just what I personally like to do is to have a glass of water. My husband always teases me by our bedside, and it's this one, actually, this size. So it's about 16 ounces. For Instagram, sorry. And so I have that ready to go. And so in the morning, that's the first thing I do when my feet hit the floor. I drink that full glass of water, about 16 ounces, and then move downstairs. And I make, while I'm getting my coffee ready, I will sip on warm lemon water, so about 8 ounces. And then I'll drink my coffee, which is mostly decaf, so it won't be a diuretic. It won't dehydrate me. And I have like 16 ounces of water, 8 ounces of lemon water, at least 8 to 12 ounces of mostly decaf coffee, which is more fluids, and then some more water mixed in there. And so I really kind of front load my hydration in the day, also because I'm home at that point, so I can go to the bathroom a lot, so it's just more convenient. And it really just energizes me so much when I have that much water. And maybe it's a psychological or a psychosomatic thing, but I really feel more energized, even more than coffee, by just drinking a lot of water. And then what I always recommend to my clients, and what's really helped them get on better hydration routine, is to have a big glass of water. So again, about this size, about at least 8 to 16 ounces before each meal. So maybe not in the morning if you've already done what I've talked about, but before lunch for sure, and before dinner. And the idea behind that too is that you can get that hydration in before you start putting more solid food in your body. And that way you're not going to be diluting the digestive juices that are mixing with the food that you're eating. So you get the fluid in first. It also can help with feelings of fullness if you are looking to have a slight caloric deficit for fat loss. And it will help minimize that dilution of digestive juices so that you have the full benefit of them mixing with your food and digesting the food, so you have better digestion. And then it helps, of course, because it's just part of your routine to just drink that big glass of water before you have your meals. It makes sure you kind of are getting that in, rather than feeling like you're constantly having to like chase it and be sipping all the time. So those are my tips, is to really front load it at the beginning of the day, where you're getting about like four glasses, about 24 ounces first thing, kind of with different things that you're drinking, and then having a big glass before lunch and a big glass before dinner. And then of course sipping additionally if you're going to be working out, having a bit before, during, and after your workouts. And then of course, as much as you want to, sip on tea, like decaf teas and water, infused waters throughout the day. So hydration is the number one thing. If you're not going to be doing celery juice and you want to get the anecdotal benefits that aren't proven yet by science, but are probably linked to the fact that people are hydrating more. Like when you see those YouTube videos where I did the celery juice for 7 days and this is what happened, a lot of times perhaps they're making other lifestyle changes. They're also doing, and just the fact that they're getting a lot better hydration. So that's the number one, hydration, and try those tricks that I shared with you, and I'm curious if they help, let me know. Then, are you guys still with me? I see some new folks jumping on. If you want to share, if you have tried celery juice, and if you have any questions about it, please put those in the comments. Then my other tip is that if you're not doing celery juice because it just tastes like grass, it's not really tasty. It's not really a sustainable choice for you because you're just like, I'm not going to do this every day, is you can try other green smoothies. I showed in my Instagram stories a couple days ago the green smoothie that I love to make, and that was just kind of whatever I had on hand. And I will be sharing with those on the Cut the Confusion course list. So if you're not on it, if you want to make sure you get my green smoothie that I love, that I learned from my good friend Stephanie Kleinberg when I've done her nutrition resets, I will share that with the follow-up email that's going out this afternoon. So if you want that, I'll be sharing that. I gave you a little bit of like a kind of an abbreviated version of what I did on Saturday if you want to check out the highlights in my Instagram stories too. I think it's under shakes, highlights. So you can try other green smoothies. So you don't have to just do celery. You can throw in spinach in there or kale, or you can use a bit of green apple to bring up the flavor and not make it so grassy. You can have some ginger in there. It really gives it a nice kick. You could put some cucumber, some fennel. It's a lot of whatever you have on hand, or making sure that you have some of those green vegetables and some fruits on hand that can go in there. I love lime juice in mine too, because it really gives it more of brightens it up and doesn't just tastes like dirt. So those are some of my tips, and we'll be sharing the exact smoothie recipe with you all. And would you compare it to mate? Kind of. Yeah, Becky's asking. Mate is like a South American, mostly beverage that you drink out of a gourd. Yeah, it's kind of like a earthy taste, I would say. And then, so one thing, if you don't want to do the celery bandwagon, totally get it. Hydrate more, use those tips, try other green smoothie recipes, and you don't have to just do celery. You're gonna, like a lot of times, like all those other vegetables have very similar nutrient profiles to celery. And then just eat more vegetables in your diet. Like I always say, like we can almost all of us stand to eat more vegetables and a lot more vegetables. So, one thing I kind of hate about the nutrition and dietetics messaging that kind of came from the last 10 so years ago is like fruits and vegetables, like they're clumped together. And so everyone kind of has equated, I think, that fruits and vegetables are the same. And while fruits do have a lot of good properties to them, a lot of nutrients, a lot of fiber, they also can really spike your blood sugar, and vegetables won't do that. And so the more vegetables, the better, especially the watery, lower carb vegetables. So eat more vegetables, round them out. Our goal, we're doing this next month in the Magic Makers Movement, my coaching group for women, is to do our Veg Life Challenge, where we aim to have vegetables at least one serving, usually like 2 to 3 times a day. So that kind of pushes us to stretch a little bit, try and get vegetables in at breakfast, which is often the most tricky one, and then also maybe sneak it in for snacks as well. So just kind of like thinking about like veggie forward meals and snacks. So again, no one food choice will cure disease or will resolve all these health issues of clearing up acne, reducing bloat. It will maybe help with those things, but it's not going to be like completely fixing everything by just drinking celery juice. So in that sense, it has been a bit of a fad when they're associating with all these claims. Sorry, Instagram, the phone keeps slipping. And so these other tips that I recommend, the hydration, the trying other green smoothies, like not feeling like you just have to do celery, and just eating more vegetables. How does that sound to you guys? You can kind of do without the celery juice if you don't have to. Yeah, that's how I feel. All right. Any questions so far? I want to just wrap up in a second. We're going to wrap up with kind of my thoughts on detoxes. So any questions too? I'm curious if you guys have any questions or have tried detoxes. Have any of you want to be brave and like give me a thumbs up or a wave and say I've tried a detox, or even write in the comments while I get a sip of water and hydrate. Thankfully, I'm over this cold for the most part, but my throat still just feels like dry. I shared this morning in my main Body by Banner email newsletter just about all the things that we do as a family to try and stay healthy, and drinking a lot of fluids is definitely one thing. Okay, so let's wrap up with detoxes. So my thing is that, hey Andrea, is that we need to stay away from anything that's really heavily marketed to be a quick fix. So no to juice, and most of the juice and tea tea detoxes that are really popular right now, that even some fitness trainers and others have been promoting. And don't waste your money on them, you guys. And first of all, don't waste your money, and also they're not necessarily safe. And what I would say is, like, yes to maybe doing an intentional reset, similar to what I often have shared about. I will tag later when I finish in the comments. Oh shoot, I forgot to put, first of all, should I go right now? Sorry. Sorry, I was just trying to add it to the comments, but I can't do it right now. And I will put in the comments the link to a Facebook Live training that I did a few months ago on why I choose to do a nutrition reset. I don't call it detox. It's definitely whole food focused, and do that at least twice a year. And there are my reasons behind it. So I'll tag that because it goes more in depth, and you can kind of learn more about my thoughts behind that if you're interested. But just really quickly, no to juice and tea detoxes, in my professional opinion as a registered dietitian, and just from my experience and as a trainer as well, I don't find them that they're safe or sustainable and really give you lifestyle changes that people really do need to see the changes that they want. And then, but yes, I think yes, it can be a role. There can be a role for intentional nutritional resets, and that being where you really maybe peel back some of the things that just we kind of rely on as convenience foods that sneak in. So like a lot of processed carbs, sugar, like not fast food, but convenience fast kind of foods, where they're more salty, more highly palatable, and those sneak in and we start to crave more and more of them, and then they start to fill up more and more of our diet. So I do think there can be a role where we peel those things back and choose not to eat them. You know, there's always a choice, right? Where we're choosing not to have them for a while, and we're filling in with lots of rich full of nutrient rich choices, to give us the opportunity to really feel different, like to really give ourselves a chance to feel good, to feel full of the new nutrients that our body needs, and maybe less of the junk. So it helps us to establish a new relationship with food, and it can be a really good awareness tool versus just like a quick fix. If there's a quick fix, that's a no in my book. If it's more of a thoughtful choice that brings awareness, then yeah, I think it can be really helpful sometimes to step back in order to see clearly the bigger picture of what really works for your body. And, you know, again, it can be kind of trendy to go gluten-free or, you know, sugar-free, all these things, and do like the 21-day sugar detox. I'm not talking about that, but it can be helpful to sometimes step away from some of like gluten or dairy, alcohol, sugar, because they can be really kind of become dependent on them. I won't say addicted, but we just become dependent on them. They're so easily and readily available and can be kind of triggering for our appetite that we just kind of fall into that groove, right? And just like stay stuck in those grooves, and maybe we need to spice it up a little bit and add some more variety. So, and what I do personally is I either will join in with who I mentioned before, Stephanie Kleinberg, who's a women's health coach that focuses on women's healthy hormones for women. And so I worked with her in the past after I had Oli. And so she does a 5-day reset, usually twice a year around spring and fall. So that's where I've joined in with her and done that probably up to 8 times now. So about twice a year for the last 5 years, not every single time, obviously. And then I will do with my group, the Magic Makers Movement, we'll do occasionally the Rev and Reset, which is my 2-week metabolic jumpstart and nutrition reset. So we're going to be doing that again, I think in about a month. At the end of April, we'll be doing that. And I will be opening up just a couple spots to the public to join in on that. The women in the Magic Makers Movement have access to all that, and we do that together. And that's just a chance to really focus in, again, right, on that awareness piece with our nutrition, so that we can peel back some of those things that we just get stuck in kind of ruts with our food, and give us a chance to maybe try things that, you know, try new vegetables, try new, you know, like having vegetables at breakfast. It can be kind of like this, whoa, or the fact that I don't have to have typical breakfast foods. It's like, it can be hard to really step into those new choices unless you have sort of the group support and just like, yeah, we're doing this. So that's why I do think it can be helpful sometimes to have an intentional reset on your nutrition, where it's focused on lifestyle changes and creating that awareness piece, so that you can make what I call it, I think of it like a onion, and you're just peeling off. There's so many layers, right, of that onion. And when you kind of go, if you're trying to cook an onion, you have to kind of peel off the outer flaky, dry stuff. And same with our diet. I feel like kind of like you have this dry, flaky stuff that's not really serving us. You got to peel it off, but it kind of like takes time to sort of peel off the layers. And so each time I've done a reset, I feel like I peeled off another layer that's not serving me of my, you know, kind of things that I've fallen into, not bad habits, but just like I don't feel my best with them. Again, I don't like to label good and bad with food. It's just that, yeah, when I have a lot of sugar, I feel like shit. So, you know, when I pull that back, I feel much better. So it's just giving that opportunity to feel better and to kind of step away from some of those repetitive behaviors around food that might not help us, leave us feeling our best. So any questions coming up? Glad that people were able to join on this totally last minute doing this bonus round for the Cut the Confusion course. And if you haven't already joined us, it's totally not too late. I'm actually figuring out how I can automate it a little bit so that people who want to kind of go through the information that we shared through the 5-day Cut the Confusion course can just jump in, and I will be sharing like the replays through email. So I'm going to get that set up in the next couple days. But if you want to just join in now, we'll be sending the playlist with all of the replays and access to the goodies that I've been sharing, with which have been workouts and recipes, as well as access to the completely free $100 value nutrition and exercise log audit, where I send you the log that my one-on-one coaching clients use, and you fill that out, send it back to me. I've gotten a few back already. And then we set up a time to do a phone call where we jump on the phone for about 15 to 20 minutes and go through and just like say, hey, like these are a couple spots where I see where you can maybe tweak this, and maybe you'll have a little bit more energy or align with your goals a bit more, and give you that feedback so you have a couple of action items to take with you after we get off the phone. So if you're interested in that, on Instagram, you can go through the link in my bio and grab that. And on on Facebook, it's in the title of this live. You can check that out, or on my cover photo. You can go there too. So thank you all so much for being on. And again, if I didn't answer any questions or you want to reach out to me privately, I'm always here for you. Happy to answer them by email or private message, DM. I'm here for you. So let me know, and would love to know if there are other topics as well. Even though the Cut the Confusion course is done, I won't be doing any more bonuses. This is the last one, bonus round. But I will, of course, be doing more Facebook Lives just for Body by Banner as we move forward. So I always want to know, like, what do you want to hear more about? Please let me know. And in the coming days, I'm going to be sharing more about the Whole You coaching group that I'm going to be starting April 8th. So we're getting some ladies that are already reaching out that are interested in claiming one of the spots. There's less than 10 women I'm going to be working with one-on-one and in a small group. And so we'll be working for 12 weeks together, really focused. If you have goals that you want to see some actual movement on instead of like spinning your wheels, this is the program for you to really get that step into figuring out your specific like blueprint for your life, navigating kind of your routine, your family, and your own like personal psychological preferences to figure out the best way for you to move and fuel your body so that you feel good, but also are seeing the results that you want. So I would say about 50% of the women I work with want fat loss as a goal. They want to kind of see that body change. And the other 50% are really just looking for just having more confidence in their nutrition, knowing like this is the right way for me to be moving my body in terms of exercise and movement, and just having confidence in knowing what the right things are for them and their body to eat, to fuel it, to give them energy, and to go into their lives and the passion that they have in terms of their work or their families or their friends or their volunteer, whatever it is, so they can show up completely, right? Fully. And not be distracted and wasting time searching on Google like for the newest diet trends or the newest exercise fads, all that kind of stuff. They can just be confident that they have the blueprint for their life that they need, and just have that clarity and confidence going forward. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll be working on the sales page, working on all the marketing and details on that. But I can just jump on a phone call with you and share all the details with you if that's something you're interested in. Because I have it all up here. I just need to get on paper. The marketing part of it as a small business owner is always the hardest part. So that'll be coming soon. All right, my friend, thank you so much for joining in, and can't wait to hear from you. Let me know how it goes if you try these tips with the hydration, the green smoothie recipe I'll be sending out for those on the Cut the Confusion course, or just getting in more vegetables. Let me know if you try vegetables for breakfast. I want to know. All right, bye.